Thank you, Nicholas. Now, let's get my technical stuff sorted out. Yeah, look, that's a really good point to lead on from, Nick, and I'm going to change up my presentation a little bit, which will probably make Nick quite nervous, and also Christy at the back there, who's seen me get up on stage before and talk about the value of people. Coming to these conferences is all about meeting the people that make these companies. I certainly was in a similar position to the person preceding me on this stage here. Once a 1 cent stock at one stage. $1.32 we just raised at. $1.42 was the share price we went into the trading halt to do that raise at. Obviously there's been a fair bit of work go into turning us from a 1 cent stock to that price, but I don't want to just get up here and promote my company. I want to certainly make it very clear to everybody here, and I'm sure you probably already understand it, but the value of meeting the people that run these companies, there's three things that make these projects work, and that is the people, the projects, and money. And if you've got the right people, you can take a struggling project and you can get the money because you can really get across to people what the opportunity is there. And I'm very surprised that with such a lot of opportunity and potential that Sunstone is sitting where it is, but I'd like to sort of, promote a lot of those undervalued companies that come to these conferences, that you can certainly go and do what we've done here pretty easily through drilling. I show this picture every time I get up here. We are drilling. We've been drilling for a couple of years now. We've obviously taken something that was struggling, and if you don't know the story, it was Gascoyne Resources. It did go into administration, blew itself up. There was problems with the resource estimates that were overstating the metal content. They didn't understand the geology model. We've obviously gone through a process now where we do understand the geology model. We're able to predict where the high grades are that make up this system that was once thought of as low grade. Capital structure, pointing out that you can have 1 billion shares on issue, but if it's $1.42, your market cap can be almost $1.6 billion. And given that we aren't producing a single gold bar at this stage, although we definitely intend to, that is a good price, coming from 7 cents when we recapitalised in February, March last year. This is where we're located, Western Australia, in the heart of Western Australia, about an hour's flight, hour and a half's flight from Perth, about 5 hours drive. Certainly not in the hottest part of the world, but it is nice and warm, nice and dry, except when it rains. But we have managed to put together almost 2.9 million ounces at over 5 grams a tonne in the last couple of years of just drilling. We made some pretty significant discoveries. Never Never was the initial one that we made, and that was made through talking to some of the people on site who had that IP but had never really been sort of given that opportunity. And so in a similar way that I'm asking people in the room to give opportunity to the people who get up on the stage and talk about stories, myself included, you can certainly make some serious things happen. One conversation, one target, we went and prosecuted that target, and a couple of years later we're sitting on almost 3 million ounces. That's pretty incredible. This is our site. We were an operating gold mine when I joined the company. For about 12 months I honoured the investment and tried to keep that company operating and keep producing gold bars. It was mining a low-grade open pit, which is the blue ellipse on the left-hand side there. Listening to those people on site immediately led to a discovery, which was the green ellipse immediately in front or along strike of that open pit. And then we were in a bit of a race for the next 12-month period, which was to try and keep that mill that's sitting in the foreground running profitably, stay alive, so that we could get the green ellipse into that mill and continue to operate. But we unfortunately had to make the decision late in November 2022 to shut that plant down to stay alive. But since we made that hard call, we've actually built something pretty special. I won't go through these in too much detail, but there's a lot of information there. The key ones to take away is we've been very efficient with the money that we have raised, and we are still an exploration company, so we survive by the virtue of our shareholders trusting in what we do, me standing up here and asking for people to invest in our company backed by facts. We've put over 400% on ounces since I started with the company from the resource that was there initially, and 430% on grade. We've done that at a $16.50 discovery cost, or thereabouts. I'm sure I've got my geology manager or general manager of geology sitting in the front row wincing at the moment, but that's roughly where we're sitting. $16.50 an ounce delivered. When you think about the the Australian ounce cost or price at the moment, it's over 4,000. I think it was 4,100 heading north this morning, thanks to our exchange rate. It's a great place to be delivering efficient gold ounces. This is our system, Never Never on the left-hand side to the north there. The grey area at the top right-hand side is the open pit we were mining fairly unsuccessfully for a year. When we shut that down, we realised exactly what we had in front of us, and we've just grown it since then. 1.5 million ounces at over 8 grams a tonne on the left-hand side now. We made another discovery right next to it in April this year, and we've just delivered that resource upgrade, as Nick mentioned, 870,000 ounces at over 10 grams a tonne, which in the Australian space has not been done for quite some time. Just next to that, to the south of that, imaginatively enough, we just drilled some more holes and found another system, which is called Freak. And it may confuse some people why we're naming them these names. There is a distillery in South Australia called Never Never, which is the namesake of the first deposit we found, and every one of these deposits along strike we've just named after their gin that they make, and Freak is one of their gins. This is a cross-section of the Pepper Freak area, so this is just to try and explain in cross-section exactly what's going on here. It is a continuous system that's come out of the bottom of that pit, but it's been offset, and then it's been what looks like upgraded, and what we're able to do is drill consistently thick, high-grade results. Freak is our newest prospect, and if I just jump back, you can see Freak just here. Let's draw a circle around it, just there. So it's small at the moment. We've only got 3 holes assayed so far, but we are drilling it with 3 rigs at the moment, and given the rate of growth that we put across Never Never and Pepper, you can imagine we are very focused on what is going to become much bigger and better. Happy to go through any of these slides and all of this information back in the booth as well. I have 2 of my Spartans here as well, the COO, Craig Jones, and the General Manager of Geology, Nick Jolly. I won't get them to stand up. They're already looking pretty sheepish in the front row there. Look, growth through discovery. You know, everybody gets up here and talks about potential. We've delivered on that potential, but everybody who stands up here legitimately believes with drilling and with investment, they can deliver similar kinds of outcomes. But this is a huge outcome, considering that's December 23 on the left-hand side and December 24 on the right-hand side. Again, just driving the point home. I won't labour on this, but in terms of ounces, but we've also grown in terms of grade, and we've just kept delivering on that. When you're on the trail of one of these kinds of systems, look, I won't say it's easy, but you can certainly just keep drilling along strike and keep finding ounces. Ounces per vertical metre, pink is good. The other stuff is good as well, but not quite as good. What I'll draw your attention to here is we've managed to flesh out the sort of lower part of this ore body, or the middle part of this ore body. It's all open at depth at the moment, but over 4,500 ounces per vertical metre. It's over 500 metres strike length with just this resource that's sitting in front of you, but with this new discovery, which is not in resource yet, you're looking at over 750 metres of strike length, which is arguably one of the most consistent high-grade gold systems in Australia that has been a discovery since the late part of 22. These kinds of drill hits is how we've managed to grow it so quickly. If you get 1 or 2 of these hits, it's impressive. That's our top 20. The new discovery we made, Pepper, in April, they're the green ones that are highlighted there. So Pepper is actually eclipsing Never Never for its grade and thickness. So it's it's an incredible system. Now I buggered this one up in Sydney, but I'll try not to bugger it up this time. The implication of these images here, everybody puts images up here. What I want to draw your attention to on the left-hand side is grade, and on the right-hand side we're looking at ounces. These are mine stope optimizer shapes. We put in a bunch of inputs into a computer, press buttons, out comes a bunch of stope shapes based on the inputs we put in. Those stope shapes are represented on that screen, and if you just look at the red ones, they're over 10,000 ounces in every single one of those stopes. And if you think about 4,000 plus Aussie gold, 10,000 ounce stopes, and there's more than 50 stopes on that screen at this point in time that have over 10,000 ounces in them. That is an incredible amount of gold. I'll just go through a few things now. This is our site from a plan view, just to take you underground, because what we're working on at the moment, and the reason we raised the money, And I've only got 5 minutes left, so I'll start talking faster. We are moving underground at the moment. This is an underground system. It was an open pit operation when I took it over. It does have an open pit focused mill, less than 4 years old in terms of runtime, 6 years old in terms of how long it's been sitting there, but that is very young for a mill. We need to optimise that mill to feed this material, and we needed to justify doing that optimisation by finding more gold, and that's what we've done. So we've just come back to the market and said, look, we've found a whole lot of gold. We want to turn that mill into what can process that gold, and we want to keep developing this and turning it into a mine. The market's obviously agreed with us. This is us at the moment. We raised money in April, 85 million bucks, to be able to put in a drill drive, to be able to go and prosecute these targets from underground and get closer, and also to form the backbone of that mine that we're now fully able to talk about because we've got full permits and now the money to go and do it. We're already 600 metres, over 600 metres on that. That's about a week ago. We're over 600 metres developed on what was a 2,350 metre plan. Everything's going really nicely. You can see all the bolts and plates there. Everything's nice and straight. The ground is really good, and we're underway on schedule, on budget. I won't make any sweeping statements in that regard, or my COO might jump up here. Just looking at the ore bodies in, I'd say, cross-section almost here, but just to spin it around so you have an idea of what we're dealing with here. We're coming out of the west wall of the main open pit that we were mining, and we're putting in this drill drive. You can see where the ore bodies are. Never Never is on the left here. That's the main Never Never system. This is Pepper just here, and Freak, which we don't have an image for yet because we've only got 3 assayed holes, is sitting just about here. So you can imagine we're putting in a lot of infrastructure, but we're putting it in close proximity to what we intend to mine. This is a conceptual schematic just showing how many levels we've already got planned. It's an incredibly long life mine. I need to put out a study, which we'll do in the middle of next year, which will prove how profitable this will be. Believe it or not, it's going to be profitable, but I need to put out the study to be able to prove that, and exactly how profitable. We just need to work on the numbers. But when you look at the thicknesses of the intercepts I was putting back there, and the fact that 16 to 14 metre average stope width across these 2 ore bodies and millions of ounces, it's going to be a pretty efficient mine. Again, back into plan view. All the work we've done so far has just focused in this one area here with 3 deposits. What's happened across the system and the geology model that we've worked out, and I'm conscious I've got 2 minutes left, so I won't waffle on from a geology perspective, but there's a number of structures that cut through the system that create high-grade chutes that we're able to predict where they are, or they sit on existing high-grade deposits. Golden Wings was a tailings dam. It will still be a tailings dam, but it was an open pit gold mine. It was actually the second biggest gold deposit at this site before I came along. We shut that down when we turned the mill off, and we've drilled under it, and we know that there's gold. We know it's open at depth. We know that there's other positions we need to test there, but we're obviously focused back around the mill at this stage. But all of this is on a permitted mining lease. Patient Wolf through here. Obviously the main deposits of Never Never, Pepper and Freak, and then you've got 4 Pillars, West Winds. Give me some license here, Nick. I'm drawing them in slightly the wrong position, but you get the idea. We're able to work out where these structures are from geophysics, and then we just drill. That's what we do. There's other targets here, the Sly Fox pit and the Plymouth pit. Both those were being mined when I took over, but the model wasn't well understood, and we're still to drill those in earnest. So as we move into this new phase of growth, which I'll move into, and look, I'll probably just skip this slide, to be honest, and move straight to the cap raise. We raised 220 million bucks to be able to go and drill more targets, to keep drilling from surface, to move underground, to drill from underground, to leverage off the success we've had, and to do that mining. It's not cheap, but we're doing it very efficiently. We're going to do 10,000 metres of development, roughly 6 to 7 levels. We're going to develop. We're going to put that material on the ROM pad in front of that plant, and then we turn the plant on. So we'll have a buffer of high-grade material. That'll also give us a lot of optionality if we need extra funding, which we may or may not, but I don't intend to come back and tap the market anytime soon. What I want to do is have a stockpile of high-grade there, so if we do need a funding bridge, we've got that stockpile material there. We want to get that process plant in a position where it can process this gold and get maximised recovery. We're not focused on throughput because we have low grade. That was the previous strategy before I shut it down. What we're focused on is maxing out the profit margin, and that's by putting high grade in the front end and recovering as much gold as possible. So that mill needs a ball mill. We need to order that and get it underway, get all that optimisation. We need a paste plant to be able to take 100% of the gold because we're not leaving any of this behind. Want to keep drilling? We have a royalty buyback. By virtue of being recapitalised last year, the cost of funding was a royalty that we had to give away to the fundees, and we're going to buy half a percent of that back, so 20%. And I think I'll leave it just there. Facts are how we've built this business in 30 seconds over time. Thank you, Nicholas.